the twins hesitated, unsure of what to do. It sounded like a crazy, impossible task. But the promise of wealth and prosperity was too enticing to resist. They agreed to the native doctor's terms, and he led them to a room with coffins in the corner. The twins climbed inside, feeling a sense of trepidation wash over them. As they entered the coffin, Mary and Martha were enveloped in an inky blackness that seemed to swallow them whole. They were scared, their hearts racing with anticipation. The air was thick and musty, and they could hear the sound of their own ragged breathing, but they stilled themselves, knowing they had to endure this ordeal if they wanted to change their lives. And so they waited, their bodies tense, their minds racing with thoughts of what might happen next. 3 nights passed, and finally, the coffin lid creaked open. Mary and Martha emerged, blinking in the bright sunlight. They were shaken but alive. Baba, the native doctor, greeted them with a nod. "Well done, my daughters," he said. "You have passed the first test. But there is more to come." He led them to a large, steaming aluminum drum filled with boiling water. "You must bathe yourselves in this water," he instructed. "It will purify you and prepare you for the next stage of the ritual." Mary and Martha exchanged a terrified glance. But they knew they had no choice. They took a deep breath and stepped into the drum. The water was scalding hot, and they felt their skin burning. But they endured, knowing they had to see this through. 20 minutes passed, and finally, Baba instructed them to get out. They emerged, their skin red and blistered, but they were alive. Baba handed them a final task. "Bring me a newborn baby," he instructed. "I need its innocence, its purity, to complete the ritual." Mary and Martha were horrified. But they knew they had to obey. They snuck into a nearby village under the cover of night, searching for a newborn baby. They found one, lying on a raffia mat outside a bamboo house. They snatched the baby and brought it back to Baba. He took the baby, applied a white powder to their faces, and instructed them to go and wait for the results. Mary and Martha walked home, tired, hungry, and filled with trepidation. As soon as they got home, they devoured the small bread left on the table and collapsed onto their bed, exhausted. But little did they know, their lives were about to change forever. The next morning, Mary and Martha woke up to find their pillow and bed filled with lots of money. They were shocked, happy, and overwhelmed all at once. They had done it. They had completed the ritual, and now they were rich. But as they gazed at each other, they knew that their journey was far from over. They had made a pact with forces beyond their understanding, and they had no idea what the consequences would be. Mary and Martha couldn't believe their eyes. They had never seen so much money in their lives. They hugged each other, tears of joy streaming down their faces. They quickly got to work, counting and sorting the money. They had no idea how much they had, but they knew it was a small fortune. As they counted the money, they talked about their plans for the future. They had always dreamed of leaving their small village and moving to the city. Now, with their newfound wealth, they could finally make that dream a reality. Within weeks, Mary and Martha had packed up their belongings and said goodbye to their village. They boarded a bus and headed to the city, their hearts full of excitement and anticipation. As they arrived in the city, they were struck by its sheer size and energy. Towering skyscrapers loomed above them, and the sounds of car horns, chatter, and music filled the air. The twins were amazed by the city's vibrancy and diversity. They saw people from all walks of life, dressed in all sorts of clothing, speaking different languages. They felt like they had entered a whole new world. Mary and Martha quickly found a beautiful apartment in an upscale neighborhood. They furnished it with luxurious furniture and decorations, and spent their days exploring the city. And all it had to offer. They shopped at high-end boutiques, dined at fancy restaurants, and attended exclusive parties. They wore designer clothes and drove fancy cars, and they met new friends, including wealthy business people, artists, and musicians. As they settled into their new life, Mary and Martha began to pursue their passions. Mary started a fashion label, using her natural talents to create stunning clothes. Martha, meanwhile, began to paint, using the city's vibrant energy as inspiration. Their businesses flourished, and soon they were known as two of the city's most successful and stylish young women. They lived a life of luxury and ease. Despite their success, however, Mary and Martha couldn't shake the feeling that they had made a deal with forces beyond their control, despite their outward appearance of success and happiness. Mary and Martha couldn't shake the feeling of guilt and unease that had been growing inside them since the night they stole and sacrificed the baby. Every night, as they lay in bed, the money kept multiplying. They would hear the cry of the little baby echoing in their ears.